President Biden unveiled the biggest spending plan yet since World War II, coming in at a whopping $6 trillion. What does that mean for the cost in public debt? Ever wonder how much the average American pays in taxes over the course of their lifetime? A new report has those answers. And lots of travel expected this coming weekend, with forecasts estimating nearly 40,000. But what is Memorial Day weekend all about? Tune in to Deep Dive as we explore these topics and more. Hello and welcome. This is Deep Dive and I'm Tiffany Meier. Long weekend coming up ahead for some. We'll get into a little bit of the history surrounding Memorial Day, but first, some updates. Let's talk budget, because one of the biggest spending bills since World War II is trying to see the light of day. President Biden unveiled his first full budget, and it's not a small one, clocking in at a whopping $6 trillion. That's the most expensive since World War II. That's in relation to the size of the economy. Under Biden, the government is set to play a bigger role in the economy. So what's all that money going towards? According to the New York Times, it'll go towards major investments in infrastructure, education, and healthcare. So why so many trillions? That's because the proposal covers the $1.9 trillion pandemic stimulus bill from March, as well as the $2.3 trillion American Jobs Plan, the $1.5 trillion American Families Plan, and the $1.5 trillion in discretionary spending increases. It's also going towards a public health insurance option, funding to get women back into the workplace, money for defense, like threats like China and withdrawing troops from Afghanistan, and expanding the U.S. Cyber Command to meet growing cyber threats, especially after the Colonial Pipeline breach. But the proposal is just setting the stage for further negotiations. It's just one step in a long list of steps. According to Senate Appropriations Chairman Patrick J. Leahy, after the Memorial Day break, House Democrats will begin drafting the appropriations bills. Then, towards the end of June, subcommittee markups will start. And then, depending on how that goes, the Senate will get its turn for markups the next month. And with the massive spending proposal, public debt is also set to go up. Biden defended his economic plan, which he says will help the U.S. recover from the pandemic. He traveled to Cleveland on Thursday and delivered remarks, saying the pandemic exposed just how badly we need to invest in the foundation of this country and the working people in this country. That's why I propose the American Jobs Plan and the Americans Family Plan. And as for who's paying for the plans, Biden has indicated tax hikes on the wealthy, raising the corporate tax rate to 28%. That's from 21%. Republicans and some Democrats are wary about it, saying it could hurt the economy more rather than help. According to CNN, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy said that raising taxes would be the biggest mistake you could make. Moderate Democrat Senator Joe Manchin has signaled before he doesn't support that. He also cautioned against the massive price tag, saying previously we are at $28.2 trillion now in debt, so you have to be very careful. There's a balance to be had here. Manchin also says he prefers a smaller, more targeted infrastructure bill. Speaking of infrastructure, Senate Republicans unveiled a new $928 billion counteroffer Thursday to President Biden's infrastructure plan. Last week, the White House agreed to remove more than $500 billion from Biden's original plan, making it now at $1.7 trillion.
Good morning.
Senator Capito says the Republican offer delivers on what Biden laid out during a May 13th meeting at the White House. A Biden official later said they are seriously consider the Republican proposal. The main sticking point comes down to the definition of infrastructure. Republicans want the bill limited to physical assets like roads and bridges, while the White House wants to include social spending programs and education. Biden has imposed an unofficial end-of-May deadline on the negotiations, and some Senate Democrats have been pushing to go it alone if Republicans do not reach an agreement soon. Now, speaking of public debt, let's talk taxes. Ever wonder how much the average American pays in taxes over the course of their lifetime? Well, a new report has those answers. The number might be shocking. The average American pays $500,000 in lifetime taxes. That's according to fintech company Self. They calculated the taxes based on 4 tax categories: income, property, auto, and sales. At the top of the list, New Jersey. Taxpayers there pay an average of nearly $1 million. At the opposite end, West Virginia pays the least at $300,000. In 7th and 8th place, New York and California. While those states may be lower in the list than expected, New York and California pay the most lifetime taxes on everyday expenses, at around $40,000. Each state taxes differently. Some charge more on income or business, while others on property. Owning a car can set one back thousands in tax payments. So can owning property. And more stimulus checks sent out. A new batch of the $1,400 stimulus checks was dispersed. That brings the total to $390 billion. That's after the 2020 tax return information became available. The IRS will keep sending checks out to people they previously didn't have information for, but now do because they recently filed a tax return. About half those checks went to people who were eligible for more after filing for 2020. That is why the IRS has been pushing for people to file tax returns, because even if they don't usually file, it might let them qualify for additional payments. Now let's talk about the upcoming weekend. Lots of travel is expected this Memorial Day weekend. Many will be hitting the road and taking to the air as pandemic fears and restrictions ease. Record numbers of travelers are expected to head to the airport this Memorial Day weekend. Based on a AAA travel forecast, a significant rebound of close to 40 million Americans are expected to travel this holiday weekend. That's a 60% increase from 2020. The forecast also predicts that nearly 35 million travelers will take trips by car. And with that, those traveling by car are to face high gas prices. The national average is just over $3 a gallon, the highest price since 2014, and $1 more expensive than the same time last year. Partly to blame is the cyber attack on the Colonial Pipeline earlier this month. While it's back in full operation, some gas stations in the southeast aren't fully stocked yet. Others blame the price hikes on increased global demand or even the devaluing of global currencies. And that high gas price is expected to stay through the summer. But one area that could change that is Iran. More specifically, how the Biden administration engages with Iran. Iran's massive oil is out of play in the U.S. market due to sanctions currently. So how much oil does Iran have? According to Bloomberg, Iran could be holding up to 69 million barrels at sea. That's citing estimates from E.A. Gibson shipbrokers. Another estimate by Citigroup, numbers around the same, putting Iran's supply at up to 65 million barrels at sea and 54 million in storage on land. And now, while the focus seems to be on traveling and sales, what is Memorial Day weekend all about? It was originally called Decoration Day, which dates back to the Civil War. It was called that as people would decorate the graves of fallen soldiers. But Decoration Day, or now Memorial Day, would not become a national holiday until another century had passed. The first Decoration Day was on May 30th, 1868, 3 years after the Civil War ended. That year, the leader of an organization for Northern Civil War veterans, General John A. Logan, called for a nationwide day of remembrance. He proclaimed the 30th of May, 1868 is designated for the purpose of strewing with flowers or otherwise decorating the graves of comrades who died in defense of their country during the late rebellion and whose bodies now lie in almost every city, village, and hamlet churchyard in the land. So why that day? He chose it because it was not the date of any Civil War battle. On the first Decoration Day, former Union General James Garfield made a speech at Arlington National Cemetery, after which 5,000 participants helped to decorate the graves of more than 20,000 Civil War soldiers buried there. Garfield later served as the 20th president for 6 months in 1881 before his assassination. Various local commemorations were already taking place in the 3 years after the war, and they inspired the first official Decoration Day. New York was the first state to designate Memorial Day as a legal holiday in 1873. By 1890, all northern states had all made Decoration Day an official state holiday. Southern states also observed the holiday, but on different days from northern states. So when did it become our modern Memorial Day holiday? It would take several wars since the Civil War before that. Following World War I, Decoration Day expanded to remember those killed in all American wars, not just the Civil War. Since then, Memorial Day has been observed on May 30th. Over a century after the Civil War ended in 1966, the federal government declared Waterloo, New York, the official birthplace of Memorial Day. That's under the direction of President Lyndon B. Johnson. They chose Waterloo because the town had made Memorial Day an annual community-wide event, during which businesses closed and residents decorated the graves of soldiers with flowers and flags. 2 years later, in 1968, Congress passed the Uniform Monday Holiday Act, which established Memorial Day as the last Monday in May in order to create a 3-day weekend for federal employees. The change went into effect in 1971. That was when Memorial Day became a federal holiday. Now, 9 southern states still officially recognize a separate Confederate Memorial Day. Events are held on Confederate President Jefferson Davis' birthday and the day on which Confederate General Thomas Stonewall Jackson was killed. The dates are different. Some states set it on Confederate General Robert E. Lee's birthday on January 19th. Some set it on Confederate President Jefferson Davis' birthday, June 3rd. In 2000, Congress passed legislation encouraging all Americans to pause for a national moment of remembrance at 3 p.m. local time on Memorial Day. But what does Memorial Day mean to you? Let me know below. Thanks for tuning in to Deep Dive. I'm Tiffany Meier, and have a wonderful weekend. And for those wondering, there will be a show on Monday. See you then.